Why did I get into collecting? Part two. Let's get into it. So, this is part two of my personal story that has brought me to comic book collecting. If you missed my last video, go ahead, check it out. It's just a breakdown of the events that led up to my initial interest. I talked about my first comic book, The Amazing Spider Man from 1999, when I found out that it may be worth a little bit $70 or $80. I got kind of nervous. I didn't want to damage it. These books aren't very durable, and it doesn't take a lot to damage them. With my basic level of common sense, I knew that if anything happened to this book, it could lose a lot of value. And with only about 75 bucks on the line, the value could disappear pretty quickly. And not knowing how to properly handle these, I took it straight home. It sat on my dresser for about a week. Then I took it to several shops in my area that might be able to help me with grading. If you don't know, grading is when you send in different collectibles to companies and they will encapsulate it in plastic to protect it and give it a 1 to 10 grade based on the condition. Now, this is where a lot of the value comes in. However, the trade off is then it's in a hard plastic case and you can't enjoy it as it was originally intended, other than for the cover graphics. Regardless, I found a local shop that sends them off for just such purposes, and I paid to get it done. One thing I have learned about the grading process so far is typically it's much less expensive to go through a shop than it is to do it on your own. So I would recommend looking into that if it interests you for anything you might be thinking about going through the same process with. Now, there is a kind of a long turnaround time on these. I'm expecting to get mine back in a few weeks, and at that point, it will have been about a month and a half when it was dropped off. Anyway, enough about grading. Needless to say, I was excited about everything we were starting to do. I found another local store with a ton of wall books, just high value, key issues. Again, not knowing what to do, my son and I talked a little bit about what might be fun to look for, and we decided on Venom. We walked in confidently and started browsing until we found something. I don't quite remember what it was, but I think it was about $40. So I felt like that would be a good jumping off point. Not really knowing yet where I wanted to take this newfound hobby, I called for some help to get it down, explained my situation, and if I could get any advice before my purchase. She was able to point us to another book that might be interesting as well for about $30. I was debating on which one to get or both when another gentleman came over to help when he saw how lost I was. Now, I do have to say, I think he was a bit more of a salesman than whom I was initially speaking with, but he was very informative and he pointed me to Venom, Lethal Protector #1. And this was definitely cool as it's Venom's first full issue. It has a holographic cover, it's very easy to identify as a key issue, and it was for sure significant in the Venom storyline. And for the low, low price of $75, I could own it. I went with Venom 1 and happily handed over my money. Now, this was quickly starting to take over my weekends. And the next weekend, I had an actual goal. I went to another store I had previously visited, and out of curiosity, I checked for that same issue, and I immediately found it in a pretty comparable condition for only about 20 bucks. I got duped. But I do believe the value of anything is what it's worth to you at the time. I was happy to pay an entry fee to kind of learn my first lesson. I asked the store owner about it And if I brought mine, could he give me some insight as to why there was such a variation in price? He had no problem with that. And I let him know I was also looking for the rest of the Lethal Protector run. He explained that he would see if he could dig them up. And when I came to bring in my number one, he'd have them ready. There's definitely more to the story. If this interests you at all, please drop a like and subscribe. I will keep uploading and documenting any and all development with my collection. I'd love to share it with you. Thank you.